Scene opens with a grand view of the Galactic Hegemony's capital world, a world of towering spires, shimmering skylines, and endless fleets patrolling its orbit. Narrator: calm, authoritative. For 1,000 cycles, the Galactic Hegemony has ruled the stars with precision and order, a bureaucratic machine spanning the cosmos, built on the foundations of control and absolute authority. Cut to a vast council chamber, alien figures of various species seated in strict hierarchy. At the center, the Hegemony's supreme archon, cold and calculating, observes reports from his advisors. Advisor: the colony on Seraphis III has exceeded its resource extraction quota. Shall we impose sanctions? Supreme Archon: no. Replace the labor force with a more efficient species. The current inhabitants are expendable. Cut to a distant colony world, once vibrant, now eerily silent. Alien ships descend, and within hours an entire species is erased from existence. No negotiations, no warnings. Narrator: every decision, every extermination, just another routine order. The universe bends to their will. No species has ever defied their authority. None have dared. Scene shifts to a bustling galactic trade station. Amid the usual mix of alien traders, humans walk among them, confident, curious, unsettling. Narrator: then came the humans. They integrated, but they did not assimilate. Cut to diplomatic meetings, human representatives listening but never yielding. Scenes of human engineers adapting alien technology at a breakneck pace. Fleets expanding, colonies multiplying. Hegemony analyst: their expansion rate is unexpected, uncontrolled, unlike any species before. Supreme Archon: a minor anomaly. They will fall in line. Cut to a Hegemony commander watching a battle simulation. Human ships moving unpredictably, adapting, outmaneuvering their calculated projection. Hegemony commander narrowing eyes. They do not follow the patterns. They do not fear authority. They are a problem. Scene: a sterile administrative chamber. A single document glows on a console, marked with the Hegemony's seal of extermination. Narrator: no war councils, no debate, just a stamp on a document. A mechanical appendage presses down. The decision is made. Cut to high-ranking Hegemony officials discussing logistics. Official 1: humanity is scheduled for systematic removal. Official 2: standard procedure overwhelmed them. Isolate their worlds, erase their culture. Official 3: smirking. They will be nothing more than another forgotten footnote in history. Cut to fleets mobilizing, thousands of warships leaving dry docks, silent and efficient. Narrator: the Hegemony had done this before. It always worked. Always. Scene: a massive human archive facility. Screens flicker with data, old records, classified files, hidden history. Narrator: the first sign that something was different came when humanity started digging. A human diplomat leans forward across a negotiation table, staring at a Hegemony official. Human diplomat: we have some questions. Cut to human intelligence officers sifting through ancient extermination records. Names of lost species, patterns, timeline. Hegemony intelligence officer watching from afar. Why are they looking? What are they searching for? Scene shifts to the Supreme Archon, dismissing a report with a wave of his hand. Supreme Archon: it is irrelevant. Humans are a young species. They do not understand the true order of the galaxy. Cut to a human scientist, eyes widening as the final piece of data falls into place. Human scientist whispering: my God, we're not the first. Scene fades to black. Narrator: the Hegemony dismissed it. A mistake. Shadows in the archives. Humanity's silent investigation. Scene opens with the vast glowing data archives of the Hegemony, a massive repository of history, knowledge and bureaucratic rulings. Narrator: the requests were subtle at first. Queries filed through proper channels, cloaked in legal formality. Humanity wanted records. Old ones, extinct civilizations, vanished species, and past exterminations. To the bureaucratic behemoth that was the Hegemony, it seemed like nothing more than idle curiosity. After all, why would humans care about species long erased from existence? Cut to a massive data processing station on a Hegemony world. Alien clerks, their many-limbed forms moving sluggishly, approve the requests without a second thought. Hegemony archives, another request from the human. Let them dig. The past is the past. Narrator: they did not ask why. They did not consider the implications. That was their first mistake. Cut to a human research station orbiting a barren planet. Holograms of lost species flicker in the air as analysts compare records, piecing together a pattern the Hegemony had long buried. Human researcher: look at the timestamps. The disappearances, they aren't random. There's a method, a system. Commander: which means there's a playbook. And if there's a playbook, we can predict the next move. The camera zooms in on the researcher's screen. A list of extinct species, their timelines eerily similar. And at the bottom of the list, a name is being typed in. Homo sapien, fortifying the future. The hidden purpose of infrastructure upgrades. Scene shifts to a sprawling human colony. Massive machines constructing what appear to be planetary shields and defense stations. Narrator. The official report spoke of infrastructure improvement. The reality was something far more calculated. Humanity wasn't just expanding, it was preparing. Cut to a high-level meeting on Earth, where military officials and planetary governors discuss logistics. Governor, we need plausible deniability. The moment they suspect military intent, they'll act. Admiral, then we keep the narrative simple. Civil defense, meteor shields, trade hubs. Cut to a factory deep underground. Giant railguns are assembled under the guise of energy infrastructure. Automated turrets disguised as satellite arrays. Fleets constructed within asteroids to avoid detection. Narrator. The hegemony, secure in its supremacy, barely noticed. Overconfidence had made them blind. By the time they saw the pieces, the board had already shifted against them. A fleet in motion. The exploration deception. Scene shifts to deep space, where hundreds of human ships prepare for departure. Some carry colonists. Some trade goods, but among them, hidden in plain sight, are warships. Narrator. Humanity had learned from history. Wars were not won by strength alone, but by strategy, deception, and preparation. Officially, these were exploration fleets, tasked with mapping the unknown. Unofficially, they were the first wave of a war the hegemony didn't even realize had begun. Cut to a hegemony observation post, monitoring human expansion. Hegemony officer. Their growth is unusual, but nothing threatening. More trade, more colonies. The usual. In contrast, aboard a human flagship, commanders review fleet formation. Human officer, we launch in coordinated patterns, staggered enough to appear unorganized. They can't suspect, not yet. The hegemony saw movement but no pattern. That was their second mistake. The second warning, a gathering storm. Scene opens on a hegemony intelligence briefing. Alien analysts review footage of massive human convoys. Their paths, increasingly concerning. Hegemony analyst. These formations, they resemble military logistics routes. But that doesn't make sense. Humans don't have the capability for mass militarization on this scale. Do that, narrator. Doubt began to stir, but arrogance held firm. Even as fleets shifted, even as defenses hardened, the hegemony believed in their dominance. Cut to a secret human war room. The final pieces fall into place. Commander, they suspect something, but they don't understand. They still believe they're in control. Narrator. The hegemony had ruled the stars unchallenged for millennia. It had never lost. It had never feared. It had never needed to be afraid. Close-up of a human admiral, staring at a strategic map of the galaxy. Admiral, they should be. The screen fades to black. Narrator. The storm was coming, and this time, humanity was the hurricane. Whispers of war. The unease within the hegemony. The chamber of the Hegemony Council is dimly lit. Holographic projections flickering above the long obsidian table. A dozen alien figures sit, their expressions varying from boredom to mild concern. Counselor Vorzak, reviewing reports. These human colonies, there's a pattern emerging. Their infrastructure upgrades no longer appear purely civilian. Counselor Thorin, waving a hand dismissively. Routine development. They are an industrious species, nothing more. Counselor Jack, leaning forward, eyes narrowing. Routine. Orbital defense platforms. Reinforced planetary shields. Tactical shipyards positioned near hyperlanes. This is not routine. This is preparation. Counselor Jarkin, voice laced with condescension. Preparation for what? They are a minor species, with delusions of grandeur. Let them build their little fortresses. It changes nothing. Silence falls as the weight of the discussion settles. Somewhere, deep within the hegemony's intelligence networks, alarms begin to sound. Red flags. The intelligence reports. No one wants to believe in the depths of the hegemony's intelligence division. Analysts stare at intercepted transmission. Fleet mobilizations. Encrypted messages. Unexplained disappearances of high-ranking officers from public events. Analyst. Victor, voice shaking. These movements, they're too organized, too precise. They're positioning fleets, but under the guise of exploration. Analyst. Showtech. Skeptical. That would require an unprecedented level of coordination. Humans are chaotic, undisciplined. Analyst. Victor, interrupting. Look at the patterns. This isn't chaos. It's a formation, a war formation. The report is forwarded up the chain. It will be ignored. The council divided. Fear versus overconfidence. The Hegemony Council chamber is in chaos. Voices clash. Fists slam against the table. Counselor Jarin, furious. We exterminate them now, before they grow any stronger. Counselor Thorin, calm but firm, and risk open war. Do you even comprehend what that means? Counselor Vorzak, reading from a datapad.
Their technological advancements in the last 20 years alone are staggering. Their adaptation rate unlike anything we've seen before. Counselor Jarkin, smirking. We have crushed greater threats with less effort. Humanity is no different. Counselor Jektek, darkly. That's what we said about the Zalinari, before they vanished overnight. The debate rages on, but no consensus is reached. The hegemony remains paralyzed by its own arrogance. The diplomat's warning, humanity is watching. A hegemony delegation meets with a single human envoy. The human is calm, composed. There is no fear in their eyes. Hegemony ambassador, scoffing. Your species has grown bold. Perhaps you have forgotten your place. Human envoy, smiling coldly. No, we remember every species you've crushed under your rule, every civilization that disappeared without a trace. Hegemony ambassador, leaning forward, and yet you defy us. Human envoy, softly. We are not them. The meeting ends. The message is delivered. The hegemony fails to understand its need.
A show of force. The hegemony's fleet moves in. A massive fleet emerges from hyperspace, dark hulls gleaming against the void. They are here to remind humanity of its place. Hegemony commander, grinning. Their defiance ends today. The fleet approaches a human colony. Their weapons power up. A broadcast is sent. Hegemony commander, arrogant, compliance, or annihilation. Choose. Silence. Then, multiple human warships to cloak. Their designs are unlike anything the hegemony has encountered. Their weapons hewn with restrained power. Human admiral, calmly. We made our choice long ago. A single command is given. The hegemony watches in horror as their ships begin to disappear from their sensors, one by one. Humanity does not beg. Humanity does not kneel. The war has begun. The trap is sprung. A fatal miscalculation. The hegemony's fleet arrived in the Sol system with the calm certainty of a predator closing in on its helpless prey. Hundreds of warships, sleek and menacing, descended into formation, weapons primed for annihilation. The orders were simple: eradicate humanity before their troubling independence spiraled into outright defiance. But something was wrong. The moment the first cruiser crossed past the asteroid belt, alarms blared across the hegemony fleet. Gravity wells appeared where none should exist. Mines detonated in brilliant bursts of electromagnetic interference, severing communications. Cloaked orbital defense platforms powered up, unleashing kinetic bombardments that tore through hulls like paper. Humanity had been waiting. Admirals barked frantic orders, demanding formation realignments, but every movement played into humanity's trap. Their perfect disciplined formations became liabilities as carefully timed ambushes fragmented their forces. Ships vanished into the darkness of space, only to reappear moments later as debris fields. The hegemony, so accustomed to swift and effortless extermination, faced something it had never encountered before. An enemy that had studied them, prepared for them, and was ready to fight. The ghosts of extinction. Humanity's tactical mastery. For centuries, the hegemony had erased civilizations with cold efficiency. Their extermination protocols were refined to a science: overwhelm, demoralize, exterminate. No species had ever survived, but humanity had studied every extinction. Every planet lost to the hegemony had been analyzed, every battle dissected, every weakness cataloged. The blueprints of genocide were now humanity's weapon. When hegemony ships attempted to deploy biological warfare drones, countermeasures burned them from existence before they reached the atmosphere. Attempts to disrupt planetary infrastructure were met with redundant, self-sustaining power grids. Infiltration teams sent to sabotage key locations found only empty structures rigged to explode the moment they breached. Standard hegemony tactics failed at every turn. Humanity had taken every method of extermination and engineered ways to nullify them. The fear shifted. The hegemony had once been the unstoppable force. Now they were prey. The first great battle. The tables turned. The battle for Sol escalated into a full-scale war. Hegemony warships fired relentlessly, confident in their superior firepower. But humanity did not fight like any enemy they had faced before. Instead of direct engagements, human forces deployed advanced hit-and-run tactics. Stealth-capable frigates slipped through battle lines, striking vulnerable ships before vanishing. Automated drone swarms overwhelmed targeting systems, rendering the hegemony's precision weaponry useless. Entire capital ships vanished in waves of blinding electronic warfare. The hegemony's pride turned to horror as their fleets suffered unprecedented loss. Flagships detonated in fiery eruptions, their mighty hulls ripped apart by weapons they had never encountered. Their enemy was not simply resisting, they were winning. The unthinkable had happened. The hegemony had lost its first major battle. Bureaucracy as a weapon. The delay that doomed them in the heart of the hegemony's capital. Chaos erupted within the bureaucratic halls of power. Extermination orders required approval from multiple departments. each entangled in layers of protocol. Every fleet request needed signature. Every emergency measure demanded oversight. Humanity had anticipated this. Diplomats flooded hegemony courts with endless appeals, exploiting every obscure legal loophole. Petitions, injunctions, and counterclaims buried the process in red tape. While entire fleets burned in the void, hegemony officials argued over jurisdiction and procedural correctness. By the time decisive action could be taken, it was already too late. Humanity's trump card, the unveiling of the warfleet across the battlefield, battered but defiant human ships regrouped. The war was far from over, but humanity had one last surprise. Deep within the Sol system, hidden construction yards came alive. From the depths of secret shipyards, an armada emerged, warships built using reverse-engineered hegemony technology, enhanced with human ingenuity, faster, deadlier, unbound by the arrogance of their enemies. When the fleet arrived, the hegemony saw their doom. What had once been an inevitable extermination had transformed into a nightmare. The species they had sought to crush had outthought them, outmaneuvered them, and now outgunned them. For the first time in recorded history, the hegemony's grip on the galaxy faltered, and humanity was just getting started. The fall of the mighty, the hegemony's retreat, the once mighty hegemony fleet limped away from the battlefield, its remnants barely holding formation. Fires burned along the shattered hulls of what had once been their most formidable warship. Communications were frantic, panicked voices, trying to make sense of what had just occurred. The hegemony had never lost a war, never faced true resistance, until now. Admiral Koresh sat in silence, staring at the display before him. He had led countless campaigns, crushed innumerable civilizations beneath the weight of the hegemony's power. But now his forces were in ruins. Humanity had done the impossible. They had not only survived, but had forced the hegemony to retreat. For the first time in recorded history, a species had defied extinction. The galaxy watches, a shift in power across the vast reaches of the galaxy. The news spread like wildfire. Empires, coalitions, and independent worlds all watched in stunned silence. The hegemony, once thought to be unchallengeable, had been brought to its knees. Whispers of rebellion grew in the dark corners of occupied worlds. The enslaved and oppressed saw a glimmer of hope. If humanity could stand against the hegemony, perhaps others could as well. The balance of power had shifted. The age of unquestioned dominance was over. The stars held their breath. A choice, not revenge. Humanity's final offer. The battered remnants of the hegemony high command gathered in their war council chambers. Defeat had shattered their arrogance, but their pride remained. They expected demands for surrender, reparations, perhaps even extermination. Instead, the human envoy stood before them and offered a choice. We do not seek revenge. We do not seek your destruction. We offer a path forward. Cooperate, adapt, or be left behind. The words hung heavy in the air. It was not a plea, not a threat. It was a statement of reality. The hegemony was at a crossroads. They could resist and fade into obscurity, or they could change and survive. For the first time in their long history, they had to choose a new accord. Diplomacy reshapes the stars. Negotiations were tense, fraught with generations of animosity and mistrust. Yet for the first time, the hegemony was not dictating terms. They were listening. Human diplomats, hardened by war but tempered by pragmatism, ensured that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. No species would suffer the fate that had nearly befallen humanity. Protections were put in place, alliances formed from the ashes of old conflict. Former enemies sat at the same table, bound by necessity, wary but willing. The galaxy had changed, and with it, a new interstellar order was forged. Humanity had not just won a war, they had reshaped the cosmos. The future begins, a universe forever changed. The war was over, but the future remained uncertain. Humanity stood at the precipice of a new era, no longer a species struggling for survival, but a force that shaped the destiny of the galaxy. Where once they were dismissed as insignificant, they were now a power to be reckoned with. And so a final transmission was sent from Earth, broadcast across the stars, a simple message that would echo through the annals of history. We are here to stay. The war was over, but its echoes still thundered across the stars. The Galactic Council, once a mere puppet of the hegemony, was forced to change. Humanity's defiance had shattered the illusion of absolute power, and now the old ways were crumbling. New council chamber, capital world of the Galactic Council. Grand Arbiter Veklan, an elder of the Zelnari, addresses the assembly. Veklan, the days of unilateral control are over. We must ensure that no species, no matter how young or small, faces the threat of extinction again. A murmur spreads through the delegates. The hegemony's representatives remain silent, their authority slipping through their fingers. Narration: new laws were drafted.
Protections were put in place. Humanity had not only survived, their rebellion had sparked a revolution. The hegemony watched in silence, their once unchallenged rule now unraveling before them. The galaxy did not forget its wounds so easily. The hegemony still stood, battered but not broken, yet they were no longer the unchallenged overlords of the star. Spaceport, neutral trade hub. A human captain meets with a coalition of alien leaders, each representing newly freed worlds. Alien leader, we have no love for humanity, but we have less for the hegemony. If we are to survive, we must stand together. Captain, then let's make sure history doesn't repeat itself. An uneasy alliance formed. The balance of power had shifted, but stability was still far from reach. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the next move. For centuries, empires had expanded through bloodshed. Humanity chose another path. Human delegation arrives on a distant world, offering advanced medical technology. Local leader, you share this freely. What's the cost? Human diplomat, nothing but cooperation. No dominion, no war. We build together. Alliances were forged, not imposed. Trade agreements were drawn, ensuring prosperity for all involved. Advanced technology was shared, but with caution. Humanity knew the dangers of power unchecked. The galaxy was changing, adapting to humanity's advantage. Location, a hidden research facility. Drifting in the void between stars, a group of scientists and strategists stand before a massive holographic display, analyzing a classified project. Scientist, the war showed us what we're capable of, but survival isn't enough. If we want to ensure peace, we must be prepared for what comes next. Strategist, they thought we were just another species to dominate. We proved them wrong. Now we make sure no one forgets it. In the depths of space, away from prying eyes, humanity planned its next move. The battle had been won. The future, however, was still theirs to shape. Narration, it started as a whisper, then spread like wildfire. A phrase, spoken by leaders, soldiers and citizens alike. A declaration of defiance, a promise to the future. Holographic broadcast from Earth, transmitted across the galaxy. Human representative, they wanted us to follow their rules. We rewrote them instead. The universe had changed, and humanity, they were here to